Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I hope all is well with those that will come in and with those that may come in for the replay. I hope all is well. It's a great Tuesday morning. You know what they say, if you are above ground, it is a good day. There's no need to complain about anything. At least we shouldn't be, but I'm sure we all can find something that has us a little out of sorts at any given moment on any given day. That's part of the human experience, you know. There's so much in life that we say that is said as if it's just cut and dry. But we all know that many things, most things even, are easier said than done, especially if it requires us to relax and chill. It's easier said than done. hmm You know, the moment somebody says, wait on God, man, that's probably one of the hardest ones. That's easier said than done. So much, I'm telling you, easier said than done. You got it, just have faith. That is easier said than done. I see a ghost. Atmosphere? Hey there, my friend. How are you? I knew you would pop up one day. How's everything going? You done with school? I definitely hope all is well with you, of course. I'm over here doing some moving and shaking. You know, you've been here since before we got here, so it's coming along greatly. Things are getting ready to get big. I don't think they weren't getting big. I think it's something like a snowball. You know what I mean? When you go outside in snow and you start with that one little ball of snow and you begin to roll it and it picks up snow as you roll it, it gets bigger and bigger. So if I had to describe life for the last year and some change, we gonna call it a snowball season. And not a snowball season where it creates an avalanche, but where it leads to promise and purpose. Yeah. A snowball of promise and purpose. It wasn't a snowball without obstacles or rough patches, but a snowball full of learning experiences, you know, reminders of reminders of hope, reminders of making sure you are continually strengthening your faith. Ain't no walk small, I don't think. No one's walk is small, you know. And if anyone says their walk is easy, I challenge them and call them a storyteller. I ain't want to say the L word because that was harsh. Like, man, you faking the funk. I get it. Fake it till you make it. But I don't think life is I mean, I'm not gonna say life is meant to be hard, but I don't think every aspect of life is designed to be easy. Because if it was that easy, why, where do we build our guts? Where do we get tough? Where do we learn our lessons? I don't think those things come in easy tasks. But the thing is, when do we understand that life ain't always easy and then get what we supposed to be getting out of those hard moments? That's the real question. When do we stop complaining about how rough it is, how hard we got it, and start realizing that these moments are set in our life for something that we need for where we're going, you know? I know I say it all the time. We all carry solutions. And if you're carrying a solution, that means that solution is not only for things that you have need of, but for someone else, you know. Imagine if someone who came up with a cure for some illness that's actually out and working for people right now. Imagine if they quit when it got rough. Imagine if all they did was complain instead of stick to the task at hand. Imagine how that would have affected so many people's lives, you know. So I say we all carry solutions, you know what I mean? And when you think about it like that, that's enough to make me want to keep going, you know, because I don't know what solutions I carry, but I know I always try to find solutions, you know, instead of finding myself in a place of complacency or without understanding, I would rather find a solution than to be stuck. Cause I done had them stuck moments and they ain't pretty. I feel like it's harder to be stuck than it is to deal with some blows in life. Cause when you're stuck, you don't know which way to go. You don't know if you should go, shouldn't go. It's no fun, you know. And I know those times happen too, you know. I done had a whole bunch of stuck moments where I'm just sitting there like, but then you have to ask yourself, am I stuck or is God requiring me to sit my butt still? I think it's a 50-50 chance you either are required to be still or you just moving in fear and you're not going. I don't think we're ever stuck. Yeah, there it is. I don't think we're ever stuck. I think we title those moments as being stuck and therefore we are motionless, you know. Everything we do in life requires movement. So if we stop moving, of course it seems like we're stuck. But I was just sitting here and reflecting basically, and I thought about exposure. You know, a lot of people are heavy on exposure. They love to, excuse me, they love to expose a thing or expose a person. and and I thought like, man, is exposure ever good? Because most of the time we see exposure, it's always someone or something's being exposed for something negative, you know. And I thought about exposure in the aspect of, like, for instance, myself with me building my brand here in Virginia, I need all the exposure I can get, you know. So it's just like tomato, tomato. How do you use exposure? Those were some of the thoughts I was having, you know, and just wondering why is it such a urgency for people to expose, you know, whether it's someone of the cloth, whether it's somebody on YouTube, whether it's somebody at work. Like, what's your game once you've exposed that person? You know, are you doing it because I think the Bible says something now. Y'all know I'm not a Bible scholar, but I think it says like do not participate in evil works, but instead expose them, something like that. No, but what happens when when you are exposing from a place of operating in evil works? You know, those are the things I was thinking about this morning. Like, yeah, that exposure ain't right. You ain't got no good business, none. But anywho, I want to talk about needs, and I want to talk about needs because you know I sit on usually on Mondays, and I kind of do this blueprint thing where I kind of brainstorm about my direction in life and business, my goals and every, you know, anything under the sun. I sit and I reflect and I take notes at times. Sometimes I make mental notes. Sometimes I write things down. Um, if I'm doing research on something, this is the time that I use to do those things. And I had bought this Bible study thing off of what's a book, not a thing. This Bible study book off of TikTok, and the first study was about the 5,000, and that's always one of my favorite stories in the Bible. How he fed the 5,000 plus with what, 5 loaves and 2 fish. It, for one, it's a great story of multiplication, how God multiplies a thing and makes it work for many. But I used to go to this church, and he used to always do this thing where he was like, "What's 5 plus 2?" And like, I think it was like my second time in church, and everybody's saying 5,000, and I'm looking like, what? It didn't make any sense. But when I caught on, it was like, okay, 5 plus 2 equals 5,000. And I say that to this day. But in this Bible study, it just me loosely thinking back to what I was reading. It talked about how all these people who had began to follow Jesus, and what may have started out as a few, how it became many, how it even became hundreds, how it, as we see, became thousands and thousands. And all these people, they say, were hurrying along together, and they were from different walks of life. They were from different family backgrounds, different everything. You know what I mean? They were all different, but they all were moving together to gain what they needed from Jesus. And I look at how the world is set up right now. We'll have a crew, a peanut gallery, a whole crowd of people that are okay. There's two ways I see it. There's either a crowd that's moving together in a good fashion, and that crowd is usually smaller than the crowd that is rooted in maliciousness, chaos, and things like that. And it makes me wonder, like, why is it so easy for people to come together, move together in unison when it's for a cause that serves no purpose and doesn't fulfill any of our needs? And then you have the other side that are trying to move in unison, but there's always something that comes to distract. And I was just thinking about how those people in the Bible, they had a need, and that's what they were focused on. They were focused on that need. They needed something for Jesus. They wanted to hear what it was that he was teaching today, that what he had for them. And they were coming by the thousands together, no matter what the other one looked like, no matter their occupation, career, no matter what family background. None of that didn't even matter. And I believe that's the way the world is supposed to be. But unfortunately, we don't get that. We don't have that. Um, and then it goes on to talk about how he was concerned when he saw the crowd gathering. He was concerned with whatever it was they needed, and he began to teach them. And I'm like, just imagine, even if we're not in a crowd of 5,000, just imagine if we focused on our needs, and instead of us always trying to come up with this master plan to gain something that we need, or how do I make this work? How do I obtain this? How can I just imagine if we were moving like the 5,000 towards Jesus for our answers, for our needs. because we know that He can provide all our needs. Some people are hungry to understand how to live. Some people are seeking peace in a crazy, chaotic world, and we know since the election, peace has been scarce, and I believe that's by people's choice, but I understand, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do we pick up to worry about? What do we pick up to allow to enter our peaceful moments? I tend to focus on my life, because regardless of what's going on in the government or anywhere else, I have a life to live and a purpose to serve. So what do? I keep going, but then it also talks about how, after all this teaching, they noticed that the people were hungry. And that was the word that really stuck out to me. Yes, I thought about the physical hunger they must have felt because they were gathered there, for all the time watching God, Jesus preach or whatever. And how the apostles had told him or the disciples had told him, to basically tell them to go and get them something to eat. But what did Jesus do? He told them to feed them. And they looking like, what? Just imagine how much we have at hand. And because we don't know that simple multiplication that Jesus does, we miss because we move away from our focus on God and we go elsewhere to try to be fed, to try to gain things we need, to try to make things happen. Instead of gaining what we need here first and then moving along with possibly a better understanding, more wisdom, knowledge, with a strategy. I believe that those 5,000 that traveled to see him that day were looking for all of those things. I've been running into a lot of content creators that have based all their business on biblical principles. And there's this one guy, he has like, where in the Bible does it say that you could be a millionaire? That's just an example. It's not 100% matter of fact, and I definitely can't even think of his name. But I'll try to find him and maybe put him in the description. But I thought that was dope. You know what I mean? Like, do we even connect our needs to the source? Matter of fact, are we even honest about our needs? Or do we allow pride to keep our needs, within close? You know how, like, back in the day, me, I was very, very prideful. Very prideful. Transparency with my needs was slim to never. But once I had to express my needs, if it came to that point, it was always my understanding now, it was always too late. Let's say if my light bill was due and I didn't have any money, I would probably try my hardest to get what I needed. Hey, V Rose. I would probably try my hardest to get what I needed to keep those lights on, but failing at all costs. When all I had to do was pick up the phone to a loved one, maybe my mom, dad, somebody, and express something that I had a need of. And just like God, I know they would have provided. But that pride allowed me to keep that need to myself because I was that kid running around. I can do it. I got it. It ain't always like that. You know what I mean? We can't always do it. Sometimes God does want us to express our needs to someone else because maybe He set that person up for a test that if we don't express our needs, they're gonna fail it. Or maybe He set you up for a test to see if you're gonna express your needs because He has a blessing coming through a particular person. He may have specifically set up for a person to bless you, but it's only once you express that need will that person know that they're supposed to be blessing you. This is my mind has been going like major this morning just from reading this story about the 5,000 and how they all had a need. No, they didn't come to a barbecue. They came to hear Jesus for something they had a need of, something spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever the case may be. And in trying to get what they needed, they became hungry. They were hungry, all right, but they wasn't going there for the cookout. They was going there for the word. And that's what I guess I'm thinking. It's like, where is our hunger? Where is our hunger? A lot of people wake up every day on some, what's the word? I can't even say it right because it's a bad word, but they be on some F mess. You know what I'm saying? They be on some F mess every day. What are you hungry for? Forget all that. What are you hungry for? What is it in life that you hope to accomplish? What is it in life that you have no idea how to get, but because you're stuck in a repetitious cycle of chaos, you're not seeking God? What is it? What keeps us bound to pride that we won't express a need? You know, I feel like when I started expressing my needs, and it wasn't that I wasn't expressing them, but I think I'm a natural born strategist in a sense. And like I said, I believe in I have the solutions within me. So I have to remember sometimes I do have to express a need. You know, um, when I was getting ready to go into my salon suite, I had to start expressing that I need to grow. I need, and whether somebody else was going to help me with that or not is not the thing that I'm saying. What I'm saying is until I started expressing that, did I do something about it? I got out and I made a move based upon that need. I need to grow. Here, I'm not growing. I have a plant in my suite that someone gave me, and I always look at that plant like, okay, what am I gonna do when you grow out of this pot? You know what I'm saying? And that's just exactly how I was. I was that plant in a pot, and the pot was too little, but I expressed the need. Then it was like, okay, I need these things. Once I expressed what I needed, I was able to figure out how to get it. Did someone else give it to me? No. But I feel like I had that clarity to say, all right, I know I can get this from here. Okay, with this, you can do this, whether it was finance it or whatever the case may be. And I think that this last thing was my dryers. I knew I wanted the dryers that go into the chair, but I didn't want the chair. I just wanted the dryer. So I'm online and I was getting ready to buy two of them brand new. And one day one came up and I could put a bid in. So I put in a bid of like 150. And I probably should have went lower, but that was the bid I put in. I think I said 125 because what it was shipping and everything. It was like 147. No taxes now with shipping. There was no shipping. And when I put the bid in, I wasn't expecting the man to accept the bid like right away. And I had to transfer money. So in the time of me putting in that bid and logging out to go and transfer that money, I missed the bid. I'm like, hey. So when I got there, what it said was there were insufficient funds. Please, what did it say? Finish transaction right now. And it had the price, 147. I finished the transaction, and when I finished, I noticed that it was like 198 taken off my card. And I'm looking like, wait. So I'm contacting the person and I'm expressing. my need. Listen, I need not to spend $200 on the used dryer because I can get this new one for that amount. I'm on a budget. I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. And what he had to say in return was, "We'll be there by Wednesday." Huh? But what about the bid that you accepted? Why did you reject it when I took and I got no more answers? So when he stopped talking, I went and did a refund because, like I said, I could have got that dryer new for a couple more dollars. Then after that, I had that feeling not to move, not to get a new dryer. What did I do? I started looking on Facebook Marketplace. And man, I was looking as far as like 100 miles away. I'm going to find me some dryers. And everybody was asking for these astronomical prices. And I'm like, man, forget it. I'm just going to get the new ones. And um, then some other stuff came up. So therefore, I ain't had no money for the new ones anyway. I had other stuff to do. Now, swing back around. I'm not giving up on Marketplace. So I go back and I find a man that's like 20 minutes away. So I began to communicate with him. And he said he had one, but he didn't want to separate them with the chairs. But man, he said $90. I'm like, well, I'll figure out something to do with this chair. But I began to express to him how I needed to. And he says, he's not closing until April. And he probably could, see if the ladies could work off for two and give me two because he only had four. And I'm like, man, so all up until yesterday, I was going to get two dryers. And then he broke the news to me that he could only let one go right now. And you know what? The whole time I talked to this man, even when the snowstorm came, he was like, well, we can work something out. Let's get through this storm first. And, I pray that you and your family are safe. God bless. And I'm like, I know when someone loves the Lord. You see what I'm saying? And I just had a good feeling. So I didn't worry about the dryer anymore. I expressed my need over and over again in this space. But this one person, he came in the form that I needed. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to bust my head. He was saying, oh, just $90, as long as someone uses it and can be blessed by it. And I'm like, now that could have been a crock, right? That could have been a crock. But you have discernment. And when your discernment kicks in, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna wait on this. So fast forward yesterday, I went and picked up the one that he had available for now. He's gonna let me know, at a later date about the other one. But when we got there, it was such a breath of fresh air to see that this person wasn't different than on the internet. There was a moment where he texted me like, "How far are you guys?" And I'm like, "We're at the corner." Oh, sweet. I'm like, "What?" But we get there, and he was just like, I've been giving this up. Shit, I guess this turned into a story time, huh? I'm finally hanging it up. I'm 66. I started doing hair in the 80s, and I'm like all into it because I'm looking like I love the vets, no matter where they come from. He's an Italian guy. He was real cool though, but he was like, I've been blessed here, and God kept me for this long. It's just time, and my heart felt a little sad for him because I'm 52. I don't have a whole lot of hairstylist years left. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got 20 years in me because I just don't want to be doing hair at 70. But he made me, I felt a whole different level of appreciation for my gift because he didn't quit at 30 or 40. He's almost 70. And that made me even more grateful for that dryer. I felt like this thing then being cooked in some anointing juice and it's gonna bring me some blessings. And it ain't even gotta be in the form of dollars, but some blessings. Whether it's that person under that dryer gets something they need, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know that because of my need, I've run into something special. I believe in connections. Y'all know I say all the time, people are doers. So while we're there picking up the dryer, he got it running everything, making sure it works. Um, he's looking at my dude's hoodie like, oh yeah, what do you do? I was like, oh, you did say you were a contractor. And he said mainly floors. I was like, oh yeah, I need to exchange. See, I talk a lot. My dude, he'd be just real, chill. I talk a lot because I be trying to find out 411 in case of 911. What kind of resources this person I've met. You understand? So he like, oh yeah, I'll send her a picture of my car because I don't got one on me right now, but I'll send her a picture of my car and make sure you put your info in there. He said, like I said, I'm a contractor. I'm working with some real estate people right now, and they're about to give 4 or 5 houses, and they may need someone to do floors, and I can shoot your information to them. And this is what I say: why can't we walk towards Jesus when we're moving into things that we need? He wants to start a business, and I've always told him when you start a business, you need to be connected to some people. And the only way to connect to people is to be open to people. I thank God I'm a people person most of the time. I'm not a people person all the time, but most of the time. But I feel like this was an opportunity for even him, early in his walk to see how God moves. You know what I'm saying? How he presents opportunities when you least expect it. I had no idea that was going to happen, but I know that my ears are always open. So soon as he asked him about the floor, it clicked back to when he said he was a contractor, real estate people. But my brain always on go. But man, if I had to have any type of encouragement from anything I've been saying, like I said, I did just go into a story time. But the main thing was how I realized when the 5,000 were going to hear what Jesus had to say, they wasn't going because they needed food. They were going because of other things they needed. And my encouragement would be to keep walking towards Jesus. Keep following Christ for the things you need. And don't be so prideful in expressing those needs. They say a closed mouth don't get fed. But a lot of times we keep things to ourselves because we moving in silence. I'm not saying we should go out here and spread to the world everything we have need of. But what I'm saying is when it's time to open your mouth, open it so that that need can be met. Because sometimes that's the only way it's going to be met. Sometimes that's the opening door to the next phase of that thing that you're moving in silence doing. Expressing a need is not exposing your vision. It's not sharing what you're doing. It's you building and moving in purpose to accomplish something that you believe God has placed inside of you to do. So if we don't trust God, who else we gonna trust? I think that's where a lot of people messed up because they don't trust God. They don't trust nobody. So they holding on tight to a thing. You know what happens when you hold on to something too tight? A lot of times it pops away from you. You lose it. We know that with our children. They say you hold on too tight, they're gonna leave. I believe that. But I just think that the main thing was focusing on having a need. and being transparent about those needs, not being so prideful that you won't ask for help when you need it, not being so prideful and you don't know how to do something that you can't reach out to somebody that can help you. It's okay, but don't leave God out of that. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. That's how you know when you open your mouth to express the things that you need, that it'll be safe because you're going to seek God first. Yeah, you allow him to show you who to trust. We got to trust somebody, but we allow God to show us who to trust. Because if we go off on our own feeling, a lot of stuff show up looking beautiful and trustworthy. Those are called snakes and liars. And if we're not careful, we will get bit. That's why it is very important to hear what God has to say about things. And sometimes that's just a little step back. You know what I mean? It's not a stop. It's just a step back and look around at your playing field. I'm like, all right, what's my next move, God? And then don't be afraid to take a step. I mean, I don't trust myself 100%, B Rose, because I know I'm an imperfect vessel. You know what I'm saying? I better trust God, because if I had to trust me, I'd be toe up from the floor up. How I know? Because I done been toe up from the floor up. He's still toe up from the floor up. Truth be told. But guess what? I trust God. He knows the plans he has for me. You know, he knows everything that he placed on the side of me to do. So as long as I'm trusting him, I may stumble, I may fall, I may trip. Hell, at some point I slides back. But I'm still here. I'm not running away. Some of us run away. We run away from God and then say he left us. No, he didn't. He's still there. For some of us, it's to get back. You know what I mean? He didn't leave you. You ran from him because he's not going to force you. He's not going to force you. I think he'll try to encourage you in some kind of ways, but force is not one thing God going to do. Now, I ain't going to say he won't force you because, um, hey, what if it's something that he's been, I don't know. I can't say, well, let's say this. He may put down his hand, but at the end of the day, you still have the choice. And a lot of times when he put down his hand, then our choice becomes what he needs it to be. There. He can make you bow down. Is that better? Yes, put your trust in the Lord and not man. 150,000% and more. I trust my mom the most. I've never left my baby with anyone but her. I didn't leave my kids with anybody but my mom, and she didn't want them to go with other people because she thought she was just super grandma. And she was the only grandma. She the real grandma is what she called herself. My mom was funny. You know, that's a beautiful thing, B Rose, to have a mother that is present and can still help you. A lot of us are focusing on some of the darndest things and we still have parents. You know what I mean? Some people still have parents and they rather run around here doing the craziness. If my parents were here right now, I would be trying to do everything in my power for them to be calling their friends to say, look what Meek did. I'm so proud of her. So even in their being gone now, I still want to be like that. If they were here, this is what they see and this is what they would say. But my fear for a lot of people is we get caught up in a lot of mess and chaos and doing all this crazy thing. We take for granted those parents that are still here. that grandmother that may still be here. I would hate to be doing the craziest things in life and think my mother or father was going to be here forever, because when I was younger, I used to think other people grandparents died until my granddaddy died. Then it got real for me. I'm like, wait, this happens to other people, you know, and even with my parents, I lived in South Carolina for 15 years. They were in Ohio. I seen them, I talked to them. But if I could go back and change time, I would have seen and talked to them a whole lot more because I don't have that option anymore. There was a moment where I felt like, wait, I still had things I wanted to talk about. You know, I wanted to take some pictures with them. 2020 messed a lot of things up with spending time because certain parts you couldn't travel and all those types of things. And with them having compromised immune systems, you don't want to really, I'm a hairstylist. I don't really want to try to. It was just, I don't know. It was just a lot that after the fact, I felt like, man, I didn't get a chance. Hey, Jess, I didn't get a chance. So if you have a chance with your parents right now, I suggest if you ain't spending a lot of time with them or if you're doing things that wouldn't make them proud, consider a change. Because, man, when they go, it ain't nothing like it. Like, it is nothing like it at all. Wow. But, V, just look at how God kept you. That's how you know. Look, you said you had a blood on your back, but you also had the blood covering your back. Come on, man. Write the book. Your testimony is to save someone else's life that don't know how to get out of those types of situations. You realize how many V Roses there are in the world? I know you have a story to tell as far as that, how you overcame, how you survived, how you got away. Those are the things I think we should be focusing on. And guess what the blessing comes out of that when your book becomes a bestseller? Hey, it might not be on the top bestseller list, but it's gonna be a bestseller to God because it's gonna help somebody else. And that's not to say it won't be on those types of lists. I'm just saying a bestseller don't necessarily mean, well, me, it doesn't necessarily mean I was in the New York Times. It means I reached the people that God set out for me to reach. Yeah. And I always say, I think I've had a life. You know what I'm saying? I've been through some things, but man, there's some people now that are young, and I be looking like, are you kidding me? I can't imagine. That's what made me stop being so hard on myself. As bad as we think we have it, someone else has it worse. That is so true. Back in the day, I used to think people just saying that to make you feel better, but it is definitely true. You could think you done did the worst of the worst or been in the most craziest situation, but there's always someone with a crazier story than yours. And then when you could talk about it, that's man, that's how you know that God keeps us for certain purposes. And that's all the more reason why we should hold on to certain things. Because we wouldn't been through the things we've been through if he didn't intend to use it. Yeah, he wouldn't put us through the things that we go through if he did not intend to use it for his glory. And just imagine Man, when you have a an extreme story, a path that you went through in life, and somewhere in there, maybe you, Jesus, you have a miraculous story at that point, because now you can tell how that changed everything. I watch so many stories like that, but people laugh at people for that stuff, and I'm like, what? Like I met Jesus and it changed my life. Man, you people just don't know. You know what I mean? People just don't know. You really can meet Jesus, and when you do, you will know. I always pray that certain people meet Jesus. I pray that everybody would, but like when I see people going through certain things, I'll be like, I hope that he has an encounter. I hope that she can have an encounter. And I'm talking about that encounter that leads you to the point where you like, there's no other explanation for this, but it had to be God. I heard Fantasia say, if you haven't been through something, you may not have a testimony. She went on to say, look at all the people in the Bible who have been through stuff. And when they have trusted our Lord, they receive more than enough. And exactly what I was talking about. That's the whole hit out the ballpark with the story of the 5,000. After listening to all his teaching, getting full off of his word, they was hungry, and he fed them. These people looking at him like, we only got 2 fish and 5 loaves. He said, feed them. And as they fed them, they never ran out. They never ran out. That's how he replenishes our life, I think. Once we get to that point of needing and we call on him, he provides, and he doesn't stop providing. He makes our little much. He turns it into more than enough. And I don't think it's for us to understand. It's for us to give him praise and honor and share with other people. Look what he did for me. I ain't have nothing, but God did this for me. I only had this, but I got all of this. Those are the things. I guess some people just believe in luck, and I mean, hey, if that's what you think it is, I hope that one day you come to understand that it's all God. I think the devil can make you lucky, because when you get lucky by him, you're gonna lose every time, because he never wins. He may be good for a while. He's like an Indian giver. Abraham with his son Isaac, Job, etc. Yeah, right down to the wire. He was about to do his son right on in, in the ram, in the ram. No, I'm just kidding. But ask yourself, the Holy Spirit said to you, Rose, I need you to sacrifice your baby. I, hey, I'm not even gonna make it to the mountain. I'll be looking like this can't be you. Mm-mm. I don't. I pray I can have that type of faith, but being honest, come on, man. How many of us would have had faith like Abraham? I'm gonna do it. He really didn't know what was gonna happen, but he was gonna do it because God required that of him. He requested that of him. And to think what he's asking us to sacrifice ain't nothing like our child. Sacrifice that alcohol. Sacrifice that weed. Sacrifice that sex out of wedlock. And I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? Like I said, I ain't no perfect vessel. There's a lot of things I used to do that I don't do no more. And there's a lot of things that I still do that I know I need to stop doing. But if I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna be honest and keep it real. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a path that I can only walk. There's many things that God took away that I didn't realize He took it away until He did. There's things He took away that He only took away once I made a step. So I'm still stepping. I'm still stepping. But the things He's asking us to sacrifice today is nothing like the things back in the Bible. You know, your child, everything. Sacrifice all your stuff. Man, He took Job, all his kids, everything. Most of us wouldn't even survive if we lose a little bit and be freaking out. I hope to have the patience of Job. And I think I got the patience of Joe, which is my daddy. My dad was one of the most patient men I know. I don't know if I ever meet anybody as patient as my dad, other than God, because we know he got to be patient, because we be doing the most out here. I bet he be like, man, look at him. Oh my, I thought he was turned last month, but look at this. Hmm. He knows everything. He gave the ultimate sacrifice. He's not even asking us. Some people out here sacrificing their firstborn for whatever reason. And we know that ain't what we're supposed to do. But guess what? There's grace and mercy for that person too. We sacrifice everything we want to sacrifice, but not the things that we really truly need to sacrifice in order to receive those blessings. And like I said, I have to chew on this for myself, you know. I have to chew on this for myself. Like far from perfect, but I know better. Rome wasn't built in a day, so therefore, the only thing that can change me in a day is God. But I'm gonna continue to do the work and allow Him to change what He needs to change. I'm gonna work on what I can, and He gonna do what He do. I can only do what I can, you know. But one thing I won't say is I don't need God. I won't walk away. I don't care. I mean, my kids did a lot of things in life. That's crazy. But I ain't leave them. They didn't run away from me. My mom didn't turn away from me when I was out here being crazy wild. So I know the father ain't gonna turn away from me. As long as I don't go. I'm coming just like this. If they say come as you are, oh I are. I are. I know that sounds funny, but it's exactly how I meant to say it. Come as you are, I are. Hmm. This is me. But at the end of the day, guess what? I am willing. You know, a lot of people will criticize the imperfect vessels because they judge them by their imperfections. But they're not God. They don't know your heart. God will use one of us imperfect vessels before He used one of the ones that's pointing the finger at that vessel, trying to point out their issues, or before He used one of the ones that we looking at and think is so godly and holy, and they ain't. We ain't God, you know. But they say don't judge a book by its cover. You might see and hear many things about a person, but you can't truly say what's on the inside of that person. Only God, the creator, knows his character, her character. Only he knows what path he set that person on. So while it may not make sense to you, it makes all the sense to God. At that point, you just gotta watch and see. Ain't none of your business. Yeah, I think it's probably none of your business. But the world is so messed up because we all are capable of so much. We all possess so many things, and I just hate to see people not tap into it. You know, for every negative energy that we use, there's positive energy that matches it. But some just refuse to tap into the positive side. I guess positive is boring, but I'd rather be boring than hellbound. Hmm. I'd rather be boring than corrupted in the heart. I'd rather be boring than obviously bound and projecting. Life is to be lived, you know what I'm saying? And when you choose not to live, I think it shortens your days. It shortens your days. There's gonna be a whole lot of people that wake up with time wasted and get none of it back, and it's gonna be the end. What do we need to do today that we've been putting off because we've been preoccupied by things that God didn't instill in us or didn't ask us to do? Matthew 5, 4 and 8, 48. I said 5, 4 and 8. Lord have mercy. That's what happened. I shouldn't have straightened my hair. I gotta get my kinks back. It ain't ready. Matthew 5 and 48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. And I always tell, like, people like, ain't nobody perfect. I'm like, I'm perfect because Jesus is perfect. I think that goes over people's head. No, I'm a human being. In the flesh, I am imperfect, but in the spirit, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. My flesh is imperfect, but I'm perfect. I'm God's child, made in his likeness and image. I am perfect. Not in the cocky sense, not in I'm better than you sense, but in the sense of I know whose child I am. Perfectly flawed, I guess you could call it. And willing to change and grow, do better, be better. Like my goal for going into the spring and summer is to get back like serving God like I was maybe 9, 10 years ago. I'm not away from God, but I was way more focused. And had I kept that momentum, man, but I don't believe in anything is accidental. You know what I mean? Everything has a purpose. So whatever pit stop I took or rest point, rest stop, whatever, it was meant to be. Sometimes those pit stops, we think we've messed ourselves up, but sometimes those pit stops are safe havens. Because had we kept going at that point, maybe we would have got tainted and something would have messed up your faith and you would have walked away. And I can honestly say now that maybe that was my pit stop because I could think of the direction I was in and maybe some voices I was listening to. If I had stayed in that space, I probably would have became uh, disappointed because I could look at some of those places now and be like, oh, that's why you shut that voice off to me. That's why you stopped me from listening to that person. I believe that we can learn from anybody. God can use anybody. But I believe that sometimes there's a time for a time that you're going to listen to this person. And when that time is up, then we have to move on. And I think that happened with a lot of people because I don't listen to nobody really now. Couple people. I used to listen to a lot of different people, but it was like in phases. I started off here. Now the first person I would say I started off listening to, I wouldn't listen to if you paid me. But it's funny because I can't erase the things that I learned in those moments, you know. I know for a fact God use who he want, how he want, when he want. Sometimes that person changes, you know what I mean? Sometimes people can have a certain walk for a while and then they take a turn. And if you don't notice that shift, you will turn right with them and not realize you're not in a safe space anymore. Discernment is definitely key. And that's why it's important not to trust man, you know. Because if we follow man, you might follow him off a rock, a big, big one that goes deep, deep, deep down into the ground. We have to follow God. And if God moves you away from somebody, just move, right? It's for your protection, it's for your own good. What you needed from that person is over. Yeah, that happens. But I've been on here way longer than I anticipated. I was supposed to come on here for like 20 minutes. That was my mind. I'm gonna come on here for like 20 minutes. I'm gonna talk about the 5,000 real quick, and then I'm out. And it was like loosely about the 5,000. It wasn't specifically. It was about needs. And like I said, I was doing this. I was in this Bible study book. I don't think he was in here, Rose. I It's called the Good and Beautiful Bible Study. I found it on TikTok. I'll be TikTok shops to death, but what's a life? Yeah. And yeah, I did this morning. I was about 20 minutes late, but I did. It was pretty dope. But this book has like different studies. Like the first one, let me see, I'll read you some of them. The first one was the 5,000. And it just really stood out to me when we talk about how they traveled together swiftly. And they were all going to hear Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Just imagine if the world was like that right now. Instead, we going all different directions. Some towards this, some towards that, some towards Jesus. You know, I've been noticing a lot of colleges that are like um turning to Christ as a group. You know, like I know Ohio State was one the other week when they were in the playoffs or the finals or something, and at some point they all had been turning to their faith. I think one of the guys was a minister on the team because I do recall him seeing him on the stage after I was seeing it. He was on there preaching, and I'm like, but a whole lot of people got baptized. But then I noticed there was another college, I think in Kentucky or Indiana, like they said, like 200, I think it was 200 came down and gave their life to Christ. These like college students. Like this is breaking out in colleges a lot here lately, you know, but it don't have to be just college, you know what I'm saying? But it's a start because those college people, some of them are adults, and what they're gonna do is we don't know what's gonna happen with all of them, but they all it's gonna carry their torch to where they need to carry it. We got the 5,000, then the next one is like it's called need. Then Abigail, decisive actions, subverting expectations, non-violence. Then we got Boy Jesus, exploration. What in the world is going on? Exploration, growing up. The Canaanite woman, agency. I can't wait to read these things. That was my first one today, but it has like where you read first, and then after that, the next thing, and they like short stories. It's not like a whole lot. that you do. Then you reflect. It says pause, ponder, then pray. And yeah, sit up straight, take a deep breath. Using the art element, they got like these art pictures using the art elements. I don't know about all that, but take a moment to reflect on the story. Invite God to speak to you. That's in the pondering stage. What is your reaction to the thought of the expressing your needs? It's pretty dope. And I wanted this book for a minute. I had finally just had a little extra change and I bought it. But yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna put it. I'll take a picture and put it on my community wall. But yeah, man, like I said, don't be afraid to express needs. Sometimes we have to move in transparency and be a little more vulnerable so that he makes a way. Yes, we pray in private and he rewards us publicly. I'm not erasing or trying to dismantle any of those things. What I'm saying is sometimes we have to be open to expressing our needs because there's a vessel that's waiting to help you. Sometimes it's not about telling your business. Sometimes it's something that you may need connected to that. But what are you willing to do? Are you just going to be suffering and holding on to that? Or are you willing to swallow that pride? And, a lot of us don't even want to say, help me. I got this. I'll figure it out. Until the last minute, then you ain't got no other choice. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, send it to me. I'll be looking for it. But yeah, like I said, that's all I want to talk about is our needs and how willing are we to express them. How much do we allow pride to control us from seeking help? There's nothing wrong with seeking help as long as you seek God first. That's it in a nutshell. Seek God first and then seek help. Allow Him to show you who to seek help from. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might go seeking help from the person you think got it, but they be the ones that are set out and tell all your business. It's just the way this world's set up, it ain't fair, but we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right? And that's what we're going to stick to today. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I pray that everyone has a blessed day today, that God shows up and shows you something that you needed, allows you to hear something that you needed today. I pray that He's protecting your children while they're at school, when they're returning from school. I pray that whatever desires you have on your heart, that you do express them and take them to God, and He grants them. And if He doesn't grant them, I pray that He gives you the understanding and the strategy that you need to use to unlock those things, to unlock Him to show you how to use those things that you're asking for. Because we know that sometimes the things that we think we need or we want, we're not ready for. But God always knows when we're ready. So let's not take the fact that He didn't grant those things in the moment, let's take it as not yet. No isn't always forever or final. And I always know that if He does say no, there's something better. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. I love y'all and I got to go. I still got 2 hours before I can eat. I got to figure out something to do with this hunger. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go drink some water. I love y'all. Bye. Have a good one.